Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
This week's show, I'm going to take you on a journey on how to take a proper holiday from work without losing connection, and how to recharge, support your team and return without the dread. Right, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Hi and welcome back to the Manager Matt podcast show. I hope you are well, as always, getting great results with your team and maybe, just maybe, thinking about taking that well-earned break. And no, I'm not talking about the working vacation or sneaking emails by the pool. Today's episode is all about taking a proper vacation. Yes, really switching off, while still making sure your team thrives and your return is totally hassle-free without any major disasters. Well, apart from the sunburn. What we're going to cover today? Well, I am going to cover how to prepare for your time away, what to communicate to your team and stakeholders, staying just in the right amount of connection, if at all, and how to ease back in without burnout on day one. So let's go. Let's dive right in, like you're diving into the swimming pool of your holiday. So the first section, why take a vacation? Why do we ask that question? Why do you have vacations? Look, taking a vacation, it's not a weakness. I know some people seem to wear it as a badge, and I've heard people saying it before. You know, I haven't used my holiday allowance. Every time I work here, I just keep going, I might have a week here, but I don't bother. Almost like a badge of honour. I've not taken a proper holiday in 2 years. Doesn't that sound familiar? Sounds awful, doesn't it? You know, think back. It isn't long before you didn't actually have this much holiday. And now you do, you've got to take it. And I'll let you into a secret. I have never not taken my full allowance because you need it. The truth is, burnout doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a liability. And your team notice if the boss never takes a break, then they think they shouldn't either. Which means what? You get all your team burning out. And what happens then? You don't deliver results. So taking a holiday is a sign of a good leader. It shows you trust the team. You've built processes that don't fall apart when you're not there. And you care about long-term performance, not just the short-term appearance. Your rest is an investment in your performance, not a withdrawal from a bank. It's your responsibility to make sure you take your time to invest in rest. So how do you do that? How do you start that? How do you prepare for your leave? Well, let's talk about practical steps, because if you don't set things up right, your phone will be ringing off the hook whilst you're having that walk on the beach or having the pina colada in the bar. As well as making sure the business is doing well, you've got to make sure that they understand what's going to happen. And like anything, and I'm sure you're the same as me, you love a good to-do list, a nice checklist. When you're packing for your holidays, I'm sure you've got a list of things you want to take with you. Well, one of them should be getting a good pre-leave checklist. Yep, a pre-leave checklist. Let's have a look at how that works. Well, what you got to do is you need to make sure that you are clear with people around when you're going to leave. But before you do that, what you need to do is check that there isn't a major project coming up or there's too many people off. You can't apply the rules of only allowing X amount of people off in the department if you don't do that yourself. So there's no stealth leave, but you're going to make sure that you check first. And then, as with the good manager, you would then notify the people that you're going to be off. There shouldn't be no surprises. They don't want people walking in on a Monday and going, where's the boss? Oh, he's on holiday, is he? He never said it to me. So let your team, your peers, your clients, your stakeholders know well in advance. You know, don't overcook it either. I do hate people who come on every call 2 weeks before the holiday saying, I'm on holiday next week. Oh, do you know I'm on holiday in the week 2 weeks? Oh, guess where I'm going to be in a week's time? Oh, well, I hope it goes well because I'm not going to be here. You sound like a dick. just be respectful. The people are working. It's nice to celebrate you going away, and the first time it's probably okay, but don't overcook it. So when you've done that, so you've got your gap, there's a space for you, you've notified people you're going, why don't I set out some expectations of your availability? You might be saying, I am not going to be checking in at all. I'm not going to be available unless there's an major emergency. Or you might be saying, well, actually, I might check my emails once a week. Whatever suits you. I'm saying is, though, I do think you do need to take your time out. So you should be saying, unless there's an emergency, and of course, there's a good thing to make sure that they know what this emergency is, because some people's emergency are a mile away from what my emergencies are, but make sure that they know what's the availability. You should also delegate. Make sure you're comfortable with having a delegated person, assign them some clear points of contact so that each of those people you're delegating to, one of them might go to one of your meetings that you have to go to regularly. They might have to put a report in or a project update. But don't just say the name of the person in the out of office response. Make sure you've briefed them. Make sure you walk through what might come up in that week, what might be asked. Especially if they're going to attend a meeting. It's a good idea for them to come along, maybe. If they're going to go to the meeting, make sure they come along. You can make them a little playbook to help them. Draft up a quick handover document. So a good thing to have a 1 or a 2-pager handover that shows the contacts, the project status. I do that to my boss when I go on holiday. I'll give him an email saying this is where we're up to. If you have any issues with this, speak to this person. If there's a problem, speak to this person. I am going to be out of the office, but if you need me, this is the way you can get me. Make sure you're scheduling that kind of time in before again, just so you don't overload people in the last day. Don't say it as you look going out the door, John, you're in charge now. Don't do it. Make sure you tighten up any loose ends as well before you leave. There's another good tip. Don't be sort of going out the door with half the tasks left, and don't go into holiday mode thinking, well, I won't be there. They're probably still going to be there when you get back. And if you haven't done it right, you're going to look again absolutely amateuristic if people are walking back in and you haven't done the basics right. So if you prepared your team for your absence, you know who's going to be in there, and then you can go on holiday and relax. So you put your out of office on. Again, another good thing. Make sure your out of office is on. Make sure it's saying when you're going to be away. Make sure it's clear that says, I will not be picking up my emails till I return. If it is urgent, speak to X, Y, and Z, whoever those delegated people are. So when you're away, what kind of contact do you want? Do you want to have a light plugged in, or do you want to completely disconnect? I would obviously say disconnect is the best, but some people struggle with it, and you might need a bit of time to unwind. So make sure that if you are going to check in when you're away, remember that your new boss, or maybe it's always been your boss, is the people you are with. And spending time with them is the most important thing. The last thing that you want if you're away with family is you're permanently on your phone checking for emails or reading emails or replying to emails or even going on call. So remember when you're away, if you must check in, make sure it's very light and scheduled. Maybe it's 10 minutes at the start of the day when everyone's just getting up, or at the end of the day. Probably not the end of the day after too many pina coladas. But be honest with yourself. If checking in is preventing you from switching off, then don't do it. There's a few things that you should do, and there's another few things that are really important when you are away. If you do have push notifications on, turn them off. You see that number next to the email and you're dying to read them, and it gets bigger and bigger, and you get that, oh my God, I've got 20. Oh my God, I've got 50. Turn it off, you don't know what it is then. And if you do have to have contact, only use one form. So if you say to your person, WhatsApp, you can get me on WhatsApp if it's urgent. Again, you've explained what urgent is. You've set boundaries with your team before you go away. You can let me know if this happens. But if you don't need me, don't get in touch. And better still, appoint yourself someone like a holiday gatekeeper. They filter you for you, making sure that it is a genuine escalation. So use something like that, could be part of your team. And if there is worries and your team are struggling, of course you're going to be there to help them. But you do have to reflect when you get back, what did I not do well if they needed me this urgent? And as I said before, some people, a broken fingernail is urgent, whereas others won't tell you when the place burnt down. So get that balance right. Of course, by doing this, you're giving the space for your team to do well, that they can contribute and feel in control. So your holiday's done. Let's talk about the smart return to work. What the holiday should have done is giving you energy. What it shouldn't do is that Sunday night fear that kicks in massively, because it's not a normal Sunday, is it? You've had your break, you're sun-kissed, you've got a lovely tan, you're all relaxed. But, you might be maybe a bit slightly jet lagged, but then you're going to have to stare down 4,000 plus unread emails. Well, look, first thing, like anything, as in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says, don't panic. Here's some easy ways to deal with it as a pro. Block out the time. As I said before, you're preparing to go away, do it at the end. So your first day back is a Monday, block out your return day. No meetings before 11. This gives you space to catch up, reset, re-enter your zone, and sometimes remember your password, because I usually forget that. So get that. Don't take out massive in, because you're going to have to triage what's in your inbox first to tackle it properly. So what you want to be doing is don't reply to emails straight away. Just go through them, sort them out. They'll be the standard ones, so end-of-day reports, for instance, or automatic emails that you might deal with every day. Delete them straight away. They're out of date. They won't make a difference. If they're in your deleted box, you can get to them anyway. Then you can prioritise. Good tip I do, anything you CC'd into, don't touch it. You can even set up an actual part of your inbox that do the CCs. Because if you've been copied in, it's just good to know. Leave it till end of the week. If you want to get round to your CCs, that's fine. It's good advice all the time, really. Use flags. If you're looking at sorting it, if you do it by date, well, that's fine. They'll be out of date. But maybe look at your big stakeholders, your customers, your clients, or even your boss. Could do them first. And then go around, check in with your team. So they're going to ask you, how's your holiday been? What's going on? Have a sit down with them or a stand up with them, cup of tea, get some real stories. How's it been going? What's happening? At this point, you've done all your planning and you've got your delegation and your systems. You're not going to be facing a massive issue. But if there is, that's fine. Listen to them. What went well? What didn't go so well? Don't get into a guilt spiral. As I said, you're meant to have time off. If things went wrong when you're away, that's fine. Reflect, adjust, improve for the next time. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Don't jump back into firefighting either straight away. They've handled it for 2 weeks. Reflect on that distance. Is there something that you should be delegating anyway? More. So you've got this time to delegate. Because you've assessed it for a while, what run really well, what didn't need your involvement, which means you don't need your involvement going forward. You can have a more light touch with that part of the project, or you can just keep it as a delegated part of the project and you don't take it back on. Come back from the break as a leader reset. Don't waste that time. Be clarity and clarify what you're going to do, what you've been wasting, and then you can move forward. And it's really good when you're away. You do get time. Maybe you read a book or listen to some podcasts, such as Manager Matt, which I'm sure you're doing now at the side of the pool. But you might think, right, that's a great idea. Let's try that. Let's do that right. So on your return, it's a good time to reset. Don't try to eat the elephant in one go. Break it down. If they needed you that urgently, they'll email again, or they'll ring you, or they'll see your out of office has gone on. So don't panic too much about that. Right, final thoughts and some practical takeaways. Well, here's a recap of what we talked about. Taking time off, it's okay. In fact, it's not just okay, it's essential for you and your team. Prepare properly, meaning that you trust and empower your team. Set boundaries around the communication when you're away. Return with clarity, not chaos. And use your holiday to build better habits, not just escape from the old ones. Now, here's a challenge. If you haven't booked one already, I want you to think about booking a proper holiday. Not a long weekend away, not a work from somewhere else week, a real break. Do it this week. It's the best thing you will do. And of course, when you're away, you can listen to this great podcast, as I said before. Now, you'll be a better leader if you do what I said. You take your break, you've empowered your team, you'll grow, they'll grow. It'll test your systems, which I'm sure are good. And remember, you're not a superhero if you don't take your breaks. You're actually heading towards a major fall. Well, one of the things you can do whilst you're away is to send me some feedback on this show and others to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear about your holiday or hear about any new topics or old topics you want me to revisit. Right, well, have a great holiday, and that's it for Manager Matt this week. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.